Hoa Karen's voice sliced through the forest like a chainsaw through butter, her nasally screech accusing us of ruining her view from a campsite she didn't even own. The irony? She was the one trespassing, and the cops she called were about to hand her a ticket to Karma Town. It was supposed to be a perfect weekend. Me, my best friend Leo, and his quiet cousin Mia had driven 3 hours to Pine Hollow, a secluded campground nestled in the Blue Ridge Mountains. The air smelled of pine and freedom, and we'd set up our tent near a babbling creek, far from the chaos of city life. Leo strummed his guitar softly. Mia sketched the sunset, and I was halfway through a S-more when the piece shattered. Enter Hoa Karen, all 300 pounds of her, waddling toward us in a neon pink tracksuit that screamed, "I demand attention." Her face was a permanent scowl, lips pursed like she'd just sucked a lemon. She planted herself 10 feet from our tent, hands on hips, and barked, "You kids are on my spot." Leo stopped strumming. Mia's pencil froze. I nearly choked on my marshmallow. "Your spot," I said, wiping chocolate from my chin. "This is public land. We reserved it online." I gestured to the permit taped to our cooler, but Karen wasn't here for facts. Her eyes narrowed, and she launched into a tirade about how disrespectful millennials were ruining her private retreat. Private? The audacity was almost laughable. Pine Hollow was a state park, open to anyone with a reservation, and we had the receipts to prove it. Karen, however, had no permit, no gear, and no shame. She'd parked her oversized SUV right on the trailhead, blocking half the path, and claimed she always camped here, as if her entitlement was a legal deed. "You're too loud, too messy, and frankly, too common for this place," she spat, her chins wobbling with every word. Leo, ever the peacemaker, tried to reason with her. "Ma'am, we're just camping. There's plenty of space. Why don't you set up over there?" He pointed to an empty clearing nearby, but Karen's face turned beet red. "Don't you dare tell me what to do," she shrieked, pulling out her phone. "I'm calling the cops. You're done here." Mia, who'd been silent, whispered, "Is she serious?" I nodded, dumbfounded. Karen paced in circles, yelling into her phone about trespassers and vagrants ruining her evening. She even threw in a dramatic, "I don't feel safe," for good measure, despite the fact that we were 3 20-somethings with a campfire and a bag of marshmallows. The absurdity was almost cinematic, but the sinking feeling in my gut told me this wasn't going to end quietly. Within 20 minutes, red and blue lights flickered through the trees. 2 officers, a tall woman named Officer Daniels and a stocky man named Officer Ruiz, stepped out of their patrol car. Karen's smug grin widened as she pointed at us like a prosecutor in a courtroom. "There they are. Arrest them for trespassing," she demanded, her voice dripping with triumph. I glanced at Leo, who was already digging out our permit. Mia clutched her sketchbook, her knuckles white. Officer Daniels raised an eyebrow, unimpressed. "Let's see some documentation," she said, her tone calm but firm. I handed over our reservation confirmation, a crisp printout with our names and the campsite number. Karen scoffed, crossing her arms. "That's fake. I've been coming here for years. This is my spot." Officer Ruiz, who'd been scanning the area, walked over to Karen's SUV. "Ma'am, is that your vehicle blocking the trail?" he asked. Karen's confidence faltered, but she doubled down. "I parked there to protect my claim. These kids are the problem, not me." The officers exchanged a glance, the kind that says, "We've dealt with this type before." Daniels flipped through our permit, nodded, and handed it back. "Looks legit," she said. Then she turned to Karen. "Ma'am, do you have a permit for this site?" Karen's mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "I don't need one. I've been camping here forever," she stammered. Ruiz wasn't having it. "This is a state park. Permits are required. And your vehicle is illegally parked on a protected trail." The tide was turning, and Karen sensed it. Her face twisted into a mask of indignation. "This is outrageous. I'm a taxpayer. I deserve respect," she yelled, stepping closer to Daniels, who didn't flinch. I couldn't help but smirk. Leo whispered, "She's digging her own grave." Mia, still clutching her sketchbook, started sketching again, probably capturing Karen's meltdown for posterity. What happened next was a masterclass in poetic justice. Officer Ruiz ran Karen's plates and discovered her SUV wasn't just blocking the trail, it was unregistered. Daniels, meanwhile, checked the park's records and confirmed that Karen had no reservation, no permit, and no right to be there. The private retreat she'd been ranting about? A complete fabrication. She wasn't a regular camper. She was a bully who thought she could intimidate her way into anything. "Ma'am, you're trespassing on state property," Daniels said, her voice cutting through Karen's protests like a knife. "And your vehicle is in violation of park regulations. We're issuing you a citation, and you need to move your car immediately, or it'll be towed." Karen's jaw dropped. "Towed? You can't do this. I called you," she wailed, as if her 911 call was a golden ticket. Ruiz shrugged. "You called us to enforce the law. That's what we're doing." The officers gave her 15 minutes to pack up and leave. Karen, now a flustered mess, tried to argue, but Daniels shut her down with a single raised hand. "You're lucky we're not fining you for filing a false report," she said. The words hit Karen like a slap. She stormed back to her SUV, muttering about injustice and corrupt cops, but the fight was gone from her. As she struggled to maneuver her car off the trail, she clipped a tree, leaving a dent in her bumper. Leo stifled a laugh. Mia's pencil flew across her sketchbook, immortalizing the moment. As Karen's taillights disappeared into the dusk, Officer Ruiz turned to us. "Sorry you had to deal with that," he said. "Enjoy your weekend." We thanked them, and they drove off, leaving us in the quiet of the forest once more. The creek babbled, the stars emerged, and Leo picked up his guitar again. Mia showed us her sketch, a perfect caricature of Karen, red-faced and flailing, with the words "Karma Camp" scrawled across the bottom. We laughed until our sides hurt. That night, as we sat around the campfire, I couldn't stop thinking about the encounter. Karen had come in guns blazing, convinced her entitlement would win the day. She'd called the cops to evict us, but in the end, she was the one sent packing. It wasn't just about a campsite or a permit, it was about the kind of person who thinks rules don't apply to them. Karen's arrogance had been her undoing, and the universe had served her a slice of humble pie, courtesy of 2 no-nonsense officers and a piece of paper we'd printed at home. The next morning, we hiked to a nearby ridge to watch the sunrise. The sky burned orange and pink, painting the mountains in a glow that felt like a reward for surviving Karen's chaos. Mia sketched the horizon, Leo strummed a soft tune, and I leaned back against a rock, grateful for the quiet. We'd come to Pine Hollow for peace, and despite Karen's best efforts, we'd found it. Her outburst, her lies, her smug superiority all crumbled in the face of simple truth. And that, I realized, was the real victory. As we packed up on Sunday, I took one last look at the campsite. The wooden signpost near our tent caught my eye, weathered and leaning slightly, as if it had witnessed the whole ordeal. I imagined it standing there for years, quietly watching entitled Karens come and go, each one learning the hard way that the forest doesn't bend to their whims. We left Pine Hollow with a story to tell, a sketch to frame, and a reminder that sometimes the best revenge is letting karma do the talking. The end.